Hello everyone. I'm going to be doing a look for you today that is inspired slightly by the Christmas season. Of course, this is the Christmas season, Christmas is approaching, and I very much felt it appropriate to create a look incumbent with the season. And the other day when I was wandering around several stores and just seeing the sort of variety of Christmas decorations, Christmas gifts, all these ideas, very seasonal. I was very much inspired by a lot of the colours that I saw, and I'm inspired to create a look using greens and red. And in today's look I plan to create a green eyeshadow look, something very glamorous, very full on. Now I have already gone in and prepped my skin, applied foundation, colour corrector, concealer, powder and eyebrows. Today I used Maclean concentrate to prime and prep and moisturise my skin. Then I went in with Kat Von D's Lock Foundation in the shade Light 42 Neutral. Then I applied some of Dermacolour concealer in the shade D1 under the eyes just to colour correct. Then I applied Kat Von D's Lock-It concealer in the shade L1 Neutral. And I set all of that through with some of Inglott's Mattifying Loose Powder as well as MAC Cosmetics Powder Foundation in the shade NW10. And I also took that powder foundation through the eyelids to prep. For brows, I began by creating the silhouette shape with Cryolyn's Dermacolour Cream Concealer in the shade D40 and with a combination of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadows in the shade Concrete and Brown. I then sketched in individual hairs just to give the brow more definition and dimension, and of course to strengthen its shape. As stated earlier, I have already prepped the eyelids and cancelled out some of the discoloration with MAC Cosmetics Studio Fix Powder Foundation in the shade NW10. Now I'm going to apply some of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Omega as my transition colour to the socket before I go in with the green, as green is quite a stark colour, especially on my skin tone, which is very fair. If I go in straight away with green, I'm likely to make a mistake, and I also want the green to just blend seamlessly over the eyelid. That is why I'm applying the Omega first of all. And I'm just taking that very lightly on a MAC 217, beginning to really sculpt around with it. And if you just softly move the brush over the eyelid round like that, with very little pressure, you really start to create a seamless blend. Now I'm taking that quite far into the inner corner. I actually want to take the look today into the inner corner more so. I'm just winging it up and outward, just ever so slightly, but I want it to be quite a rounded wing, so I don't want it to be too sharp and elongating, just something that's elongating still, but rounded and upward. And a great way to do that is almost to mimic the shape of the brush. So the way that the brush is shaped, that's what we want to do by just pulling it upward and outward. I'm just taking a slight bit of it underneath the eye, building it up gradually. I mean, with this colour you can only build it up to a point as it's quite a light brown, but I want it to be quite strong as a base for the green that I plan to go in with next. So with the base to the eyes applied, I'm not too concerned if it isn't absolutely seamlessly perfect at this point, as I'm going to be applying additional colour over the top of it regardless. This will just prevent the green that I plan to go in with next from just getting messy on the eyelids. Now the first green that I'm going to go in with just to sculpt the eye and really build the shape is Illamasqua's powder eyeshadow in the shade Fledging, which is this very bright green colour. And I'm just taking that on the same 217 and I'm just going to stipple that onto the eye first of all, at the outer corner, working my way in through the socket. And with a clean sort of a 227 brush, I'm just blending what I've applied, just ever so slightly. Pastel-y green tones or pastel any colours do tend to be quite hard to blend. So you really have to stipple them on first of all, then go in and blend them. And you do have to be quite patient with them. It is a gradual, slow process, especially with these Illamasqua powder eyeshadows, which are quite powdery. You do have to sort of work quite gently with them and persistently. You have to be very persistent. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of that to the lower lash line on an Inglot 80HPS brush. And I'm going to take that right into the inner corner. I'm not applying it so heavily to the lower part of the eye, just quite lightly, just to connect everything together. And just blend the edges of that. Now that is the initial shape applied. And with a further clean MAC 217, I'm just going to really just clean up all of those edges just to ensure seamlessness. Now with the overall shape now more or less applied, this will serve as our base colour. Now I'm going to go in and further enhance the eye with some of Illamasqua's powder eyeshadow in the shade Pivot. And I'm just going to apply that just up above where we've applied our first shade of green. And I'm just packing that on first of all. I'm not really applying it in a soft motion, because I'm just going to go in and blend through with our 217 from before. You can just go back in with your blending brush just to soften anything. Now I'm really wanting to create a very supervillain look, and this will just further the effect of a gradient. And I'm pulling it quite far down into the eye look, just so that we create a transition of green. I'm going back in with our blending brush from before, just to ensure seamlessness. Now at this point I really don't mind if the look goes all the way to the eyebrows and into the temples, as we can take that back down with our highlighter shade at a later point. And I actually want the green in the central part of the eye to touch the eyebrow just ever so slightly, and just blend all of that together. Now I'm going to apply some of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Plumage on a Zova 231 brush, and I'm just going to carefully begin sculpting in the socket. And a great way to do this is just to tilt your head back ever so slightly, just so that you can see where you're placing the socket. Just start to gently sculpt that in. I don't want to do a harsh cut crease today. I'm just going to take a little bit of that on our 217 from before and stipple it upward. So I'm stippling it on, but I'm pulling the colour upward. And always remember to blend in small swirling motions once you've applied. I'm just going to take that colour slightly onto the lid, just stippling it on. And you just start to sweep it out gradually, then go back in and blend. Sweep it out a little bit more, go back in and blend. That's where you really start to create a gradient that is not only seamless, but also allows you to blend up as you go, so that you're not applying a lot of colour immediately, then having to blend it out, or making any mistakes. By applying a little bit in a little amount and building it up gradually, you actually create a very strong, seamless eye look. And with our Zova 231 from before, I'm just cutting the eye at the outer corner, just packing on quite a lot of that plumage colour. Now I actually really enjoy doing these very wild, creative, crazy looks. It's very representative of my actual work as a makeup artist. Of course I bring a lot of neutral looks upon my channel, but I kind of was just feeling that all these neutral, soft tone, pretty brown tutorials, it was all starting to look a bit like the Laura Ashley catalogue. So I thought, I'll do a crazy look today. And besides, it's Christmas time, we must be fabulous. So I'm just building it up as I go along. And you can always go back in with any of your colours from before. I'm just taking a little bit of that fledging colour and just softening over the edges between the fledging and the plumage. And a little bit more of the pivot just to lighten that area, just so that we create a seamless gradient. And with some of the plumage, I'm just taking that underneath the eye, just ever so slightly, just almost to halfway of the eye. I'm just doing this so that we connect the top and the bottom together so they look consistent. Now with the overall depth added to the eye, I'm then going to go in and apply some of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Humid on a MAC 227 brush. And I'm just packing that onto the eyelid. It is a beautiful sheen, this colour. And now I'm taking a green glitter. This one is by Kryolan in the shade Polyester Glimmer 25175 light green. And I'm going to simply take one of these very magnified mirrors and apply that to the eyelid with some of Illamasqua's sealing gel. I like to apply this looking down into a mirror. So that is the glitter now applied to both eyelids. My eyelids feel like they're going to die. And I'm now just going to go in and line my waterline and upper waterline, as well as smoke onto the lashes with some of Inglott's AMC gel eyeliner in the shade 77. Now I'm applying that to the eyes on a MAC 231 brush. And with a Space NK liner brush, I'm just going to create a wing at the outer corner and a point at the inner corner. I'm also going to make the black eyeliner underneath the eye quite severe and hard. And with the eyes now lined, I'm just going to intensify the line with some of our plumage colour. Just taking a clean blending brush and just blurring all of that through. And on a Zova 227 brush, I'm then just going to take some of Illamasqua's powder eyeshadow in the shade Sister, which is this beautiful yellow colour. I'm just going to start to apply that and buff that to the underneath of the eye. Now I'm taking this quite far down, and I'm just taking some of that NW10 colour, which is slightly pinkier than my natural skin tone, and I'm just merging that into the yellow. And taking one of our blending brushes from before and just moving the plumage colour and just pulling it downward and outward so that we almost have an upside down triangle. Now I didn't anticipate for the look to become this wild, but I'm feeling quite creative today. But I must admit I'm quite bored of wearable neutral looks. And I'm just going to take that through the temple slightly. And on a Screenface Premium Goat Special brush, I'm just packing that yellow into the temples, but keeping it on the top of the cheekbone. I'm pulling it under the brow ever so slightly. I want to keep it quite centred to the eyes. I don't want to bring it and broaden it out too much, as I want the rest of the look to be more wearable, but this section to be more elaborate. And then I'm just taking a Clinique eyeshadow brush and using that sister yellow eyeshadow just as our highlight underneath the brow. The great thing about a lot of these green and yellow colours is that they usually just merge together effortlessly. Now with all of that sister colour applied to the temples, slightly onto the forehead, the highest points of the cheekbones, and the cheekbone itself, I am now going to go in and apply some of Cryolyn's matte eyeshadow in the shade Sahara on a Real Techniques 300 brush. I actually purchased this morning. It's actually looking a little bit too cold against the yellow, so what I'm going to do is just match it up, then go in with another warmer tone, and I'm just crossing those two colours together just to create a more seamless gradient. And to warm the contour for which that I have just applied, I'm going to take some of Illamasqua's powder eyeshadow in the shade Vernet, and I'm working from the ear downwards, just intensifying what we have just applied, stippling and blending, but mainly stippling, buffing it slightly. Now, I don't mind if it looks quite intense. I think given the look, it's probably forgivable if it's quite intense. And then the other side. And just to warm it up even further, I'm taking some of Illamasqua's powder eyeshadow in the shade Vapor. I'm just bringing that over. Now, if you feel that you've applied too much contour, or the shape has gone a bit wonky, you can just take some of your powder, your setting powder or your powder foundation, and just cut the shape in. It won't necessarily completely remove what you've applied, but it will mutify it ever so slightly. I actually want the contour to come down quite far today, but I'm just going to go back in and further intensify the yellow with our sister colour. Now, I'm quite enjoying this so far. It's a bit wild, and I very much enjoy creating these quite unusual, strong looks for you. But I'm now going to go in with some of Bourjois liquid eyeliner and just connect the top of the eyelid. I'm not going to take too much of the eyeliner over the glitter that we've applied, because it will just start to look a little bit texturized and unattractive. So I'm just going to connect the black line onto the upper lash line ever so slightly, curl the eyelashes, apply black mascara, and then we will apply false lashes. But first of all, I'm going to apply liquid eyeliner. I'm just going to take that over. Now with the eyeliner applied, I'm then just going to go in and curl my eyelashes with my go-to QVS eyelash curlers. But I'm also been very careful where I place them. I'm not placing them too close to the lash line, because we have so much glitter on the eyelid. I do not want the eyelash curlers to disturb what we've applied to the eyelid. And then, of course, for mascara, I'm going to go in with some of the Balm's What's Your Type mascara. I think I might have to move away from this very soon, as it may appear as if I'm reluctant to move away from the one type of mascara, which may make me appear slightly provincial. Working that into the eyelashes, one may come from a province, but one shall not be provincial. And the only reason that I'm applying mascara to the eyelashes is that I just want to blacken them before I go in with false eyelashes. Now for false eyelashes, I'm going to take the set of Eyelure 301 eyelashes. And they are slightly massive. I know that when I put them on, it'll be like having a living entity on my eye, although there happens to be one there already. But these are massive, and I've been waiting for the occasion. I've had them in the archive for a long time, and I've been waiting for the perfect occasion to wear them. And I think today's look warrants such massive, full-on eyelashes. And of course, I'm going to cut these to shape, otherwise they won't fit my eye. And I'm just going to apply them using some of Duo Adhesive Glue. Having taken the full band of the eyelashes and cut them to the size of the eye so that they would fit on the top lash line, the remaining part I then added to the bottom lash line, turning it upside down but gluing it on the lower lash line just to add more drama to the look. It has slightly 60s and Arabic references when you do this sort of effect with the eyelashes. Now I'm going to highlight, and to do that I'm going to go in with some of Illamasqua's Pure Pigment in the shade Furore. I'm just going to take that on a clean Inglot 80HPS brush, and I'm just going to apply it into the inner corner, but not applying it to the area where we've drawn in our cat eye, just applying it round it, just to bring light into that area. And what I'm doing is just really applying quite a lot of that highlighter to the inner corner and a little bit onto the bridge of the nose, because it is not a far off colour to that of my natural skin tone. However, I need to bring light into the inner corner because the eye look just pushes the eyes together. And then I'm just going to blend the edges of that through a little bit of that to the inner corner on the other side. Really build it up and blend the edges with a Pro Arte brush from before. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that colour and just take it just to the centre of the cheeks, not onto the high points of the cheekbones, just to add a little bit of light to the centre of the face. I'm just buffing that pigment upward just ever so slightly, but I don't want to take it too far out, just onto the centre of the cheeks and a little bit of it onto the forehead, as I want the skin to look quite shiny. Just taking it up into the eye area ever so slightly. I'm taking that down the centre of the nose. And then I'm just muting everything through from the powder brush which I used to apply my setting powder to my foundation with. And I'm just going to take the remainder of that onto the chin, tip of the nose ever so slightly, bridge of the nose of course. I think that's always a must, especially if you have a protrusive brow bone. In the centre of the forehead, just to bring light. Of course I don't do this sort of thing normally, so I want the skin to have a slight sheen to it. Now for lips, I was thinking originally about going in with a red lipstick, and I think I'm going to do that first of all, is apply a red lipstick as a stain, then line the lips with red, and then add a fuchsia pink lipstick. I think pink would look better with this look, but I also think the red and the pink together will look fantastic. So I'm first of all taking some of MAC Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Red on a lip brush, working that into the lips, just so that we get our initial shape. When it comes to red lipstick, I never line the lips first of all. I always apply the lipstick to the lips first, so that I can get a gauge as to where to place the lip liner, as red lips are less forgiving when you make a mistake. This method just prevents that. So with the lipstick now applied to the lips, that gives me a guide as to where to place my lip liner. And to line the lips today, I'm going to go in with some of Illamasqua's lip pencil in the shade Spell. And of course, I'm just overdrawing the lips. I want to keep the lips quite curved, but keep the cupid bow quite angular, because I find with my lip shape, when I draw a curved lip, but curve the cupid bow, it makes me look a little bit like a cross-dresser, not the expensive kind. So I prefer to just overdraw and mimic my natural cupid bow. Now I've overdrawn the lips substantially. I think with this look, it is warranted. I'm just going to take a slightly deeper red. This is Russian Red by MAC Cosmetics. Now before I go in with a bright pink lipstick to the centre of the lips, I'm just going to quickly blot what I've applied. And to do that, I'm just taking some roll from the lavatory and I'm kissing into it. And that step just removes any of the excess. And now I'm going to take some of Illamasqua's lipstick in the shade Eurodice, mixed with a little bit of MAC Cosmetics Girl About Town, and just apply that to the centre of the lips, but applying a little bit more Girl About Town. And to brighten, I'm just taking a little bit of Saint Germain and placing that in the middle. And blot that ever so slightly. And I'm just going back in and applying a little bit more red to the lip, as I definitely want the pink and the red to both have a presence, but have a very diminutive ombre effect. And I'm just going to take a tiny bit of Kryolan's red glitter and place it over the lips, just so that there's a very faint sparkle. Now I feel the eyebrows are a little bit sparse looking, so I'm going to go in with some of MAC Cosmetics powder eyeshadow in the shade Carbon on a Space NK liner brush. I'm just going to add a few little strokes of that, just to strengthen the eyebrows. I would normally go in with a brown to do this, but I want their tone to remain quite cool. So that more or less completes the look. It is a very bold, glamorous, strong, demonic, yet angelic, feminine and delicate look. Perfect for parties and nighttime occasions. And I certainly felt very fabulous whilst wearing this look. I had a lot of fun creating this look for you here today. It certainly became a lot more elaborate from what I originally had planned, which is always a good thing. I think it's a great thing to be able to build upon ideas, build upon something. It's a very full-on look. It certainly is comparable to certain types of Arabic makeup, certain types of 60s makeup, certain types of editorial and avant-garde makeup, but I just had a lot of fun creating this look. And certainly when I created this look, I drew a lot of inspiration from the sorts of colours that you see around the Christmas time period, around the Christmas season. Lots of rich greens and rich reds and warm tones, these sorts of beautiful tones that you see around the festive period. Personally, I find Christmas and the festive period very, very stressful, as I have so many presents and gifts to buy for myself, and I hope that you have found in today's film the tips and techniques and the recommendations to be either interesting, useful, helpful or beneficial. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and of course, Take care. Bye.